On Sunday, Chinese President Xi Jinping made history by becoming the first member of the governing Communist Party to be re-elected for an extraordinary third term in office, with the possibility of ruling China for the rest of his life. But how does one guy rise from severe poverty to unrivaled dominance? Keep watching to get the answer. You may still believe that the American president is the strongest influential person on earth. However, times have evolved. The presidency of the US has lost authority, whereas the Chinese leader has gained it in recent years. Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, and greetings. Today's video will two biggest China economic sectors crushed. So stay focused. A trade war with the US, political unrest in Hong Kong, allegations of extermination in Xinjiang, slow economic growth, and a tragic pandemic that originated in China are just some of the enormous challenges Xi Jinping is facing. These challenges would make other world leaders breathless. One person, Xi Jinping, occupies the center of the Chinese Communist Party. Without any surprises, he is set to strengthen his hold on China's most powerful post for 5 years, after which he might remain in that position indefinitely. Xi Jinping was seen as a communist Prince Sling when he was born in 1953, the son of one of the founding members of the Chinese Communist Party. All of that, however, shifted in the early 1960s, when Chairman Mao Zedong sensationally expelled his parent, Xi Jinping, from the party as part of the revolutionary era. He was taken to a poor village for re-education and physical work when his family broke up when he was still a child. Mr. Xi changed his stance, and after ultimately being admitted to the party in 1973, he started his ascent into political prominence. As he assumed leadership roles across the nation, Xi Jinping raised his profile within the covert workings of his party. He won the vice presidential election the following year, and by the beginning of 2013, he had gained the title Chairman of Everything. The highest office in China, leader of the Chinese Communist Party, president, and commander-in-chief, is held by Xi Jinping. He has the opportunity to make his ambition for China a reality. President Xi wants stability, though, to do that. His anti-corruption drive, which captures millions of members of his party in its dragnet and successfully pushes his political rivals out of the way by displacing them with his devoted friends, is his first significant domestic policy. The Belt and Road concept is introduced by Xi Jinping internationally. As a result of its trade and export agreements, China has become a worldwide superpower and a potent world leader. President Xi has a task to do. In 2018, he eliminated the presidential two-term restriction, cementing an extended stay in power. He also inscribed his surname into the Chinese constitution. Nevertheless, there are grave worries about Mr. Xi's autocratic leadership. Ethnic minorities in China are allegedly being repressed. President Xi's controversial zero-covert policy affects China's 1.4 billion people and its economy, and state monitoring and censorship measures have increased. Meanwhile, China compelled Xi Jinping's vision of a united, powerful Chinese meeting Hong Kong to submit it to authority outside mainland China. President Xi has steadfastly refused to rule out employing military force to seek unification with Taiwan. Both China and its leader Xi Jinping have an unstoppable air. His dual roles as General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party and President of China, he is in charge of more than 1.4 billion people living across a vast nation. That includes the wealthy megacities of Beijing and Shanghai and the impoverished rural areas where families still struggle with malnutrition. As the third General Secretary of the Communist Party, Xi Jinping is expected to become the most potent figure since Mao Zedong founded the organization. To solidify his core position, the party adopted modifications to its constitution. Jinping spoke to the crowd in Beijing's Great Hall of the People and stated, "Dare to work hard, dare to struggle, and triumph. Stay committed to moving forward." Although Jinping did not start this shift, he has taken control of China since he was elected president in 2013. After assuming power, he launched a drive against corruption that resulted in the punishment of 1.5 million officials, including 7 members of the Politburo and ministers, along with 24 senior commanders. 2 powerful government figures received death sentences. Eliminating any current or prospective rivals and consolidating power in Xi's own hands were the goals of the purges and show trials. They also made him a household name as a strongman among Chinese people. Xi has achieved his aim of replacing Mao today. A resolution resolutely maintaining Comrade Xi Jinping's basic position on the party's Central Committee and in the party as a whole was adopted by the Communist Party's Central Committee in November 2021. The party's Central Committee has only ever passed a resolution on the party's history 3 times. Jiang Zemin, Hu Jintao, and Mao Zedong are all mentioned in the paper 6 times each for the famous reformer Deng Xiaoping and 18 times for Mao Zedong. Jiang Zemin and Hu Jintao are Xi's predecessors. Xi Jinping, too, a total of 24 times. The resolution elevates Xi above Chairman Mao, not on a level with him. However, Xi Jinping heads an economic giant today, whereas Mao reigned over an impoverished developing nation. Additionally, although Mao primarily used communist ideology, Xi employed a more potent form of the ideology known as nationalism. He views himself as the executor of a historic mission to end centuries of Western control over the world and the humiliation of the Chinese people by the former colonial powers, alongside Confucius and the Chinese emperors. The term limit imposed on his predecessors as Xi has lifted president to carry out his purpose, enabling him to reign until his passing. Xi's ambitions to increase China's present territory are justified by nationalist rhetoric. He already effectively subdued Hong Kong and imprisoned the democratic opposition without eliciting any significant responses from the rest of the world. While he is still alive, he intends to reunite Taiwan with the rest of the empire. He claims resource-rich territory in Vietnam, Malaysia, and the Philippines by claiming control over the South China Sea. For Xi Jinping, Donald Trump's election as U.S. president in 2017 was like receiving a present. Many people in Europe misinterpreted Trump's America First foreign policy approach as an effort to preserve and increase American power worldwide. Trump's theory sought to isolate America. In actuality, he believed that the U.S. should reduce its responsibilities abroad and focus more on internal issues. While Joe Biden approaches international affairs differently, he rules over a bitterly divided nation. Some even mention the possibility of civil war. In contrast, the Chinese populace accepts Xi Jinping far more totally than the American public does either Biden or Trump. The Russian invasion of Ukraine has demonstrated a global balance of power change. Biden cannot stop Putin. He can only threaten or beg him. Xi Jinping could stop Putin if he desired, but he is content with how things are going. Following Xi's hosting of Putin at the Winter Olympics in Beijing, when the two released a joint statement emphasizing their same worldview, Putin attacked Ukraine. Putin recognized at the time that Western sanctions would not ultimately harm him, since China would be pleased to purchase Russian oil and gas. Xi Jinping is purchasing a lot of influence himself globally. The new Silk Road extended to Latin America in addition to the same regions as the previous Silk Road did, namely Asia, Africa, and Europe. Xi Jinping will build infrastructure and expand trade, and investments in transportation will be made everywhere it touches. Over 10 years, Xi Jinping plans to invest more than $1 trillion in it. The idea is similar to what underpinned the Marshall Plan during World War II, but on a far bigger scale. Only $12.4 billion, or around $139 billion in today's currencies, or less than a tenth of what China intends to contribute, was granted by the U.S. Congress for the Marshall Plan. Xi has had complete power over the second largest economy and the most populated country in the world for over 10 years. China's economy has remained strong under his leadership, and the country's people are wealthier and more educated than in the past. That's all we have for you today. If you don't want to miss any future videos, subscribe to the channel and switch on notifications. Please participate and share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you so much for watching.